let's talk about the F word. I am speaking, of course, about fascism. Now, the Washington Post reports that interest in the word fascism has surged in the Trump era. This is from their Wonk blog. It says that according to a few measures, the interest in fascism is soaring. First of all, George Orwell's 1984 has risen to the top of the bestseller list on Amazon. I might also add that a lot of people are talking to me about It Can't Happen Here. Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale is coming to Hulu, although I would say that was well underway before Trump came along. It's in the top 1% of words that people are looking up on Merriam-Webster online. This 12 Signs of Fascism thing has gone viral, especially the Holocaust Museum version of it. Google searches for the word fascism spiked to unprecedented levels in January. So we are having something of a surge of interest in fascism. But as I said in my subscriber-only conversation with Kathleen Friedel about fascism, and again, you can subscribe at www.patreon.com/the0hour. I have a lot of mixed feelings about the fascination with fascism. Let's go over that a little bit. I mean, I think there is definite concern about what President Trump can do, but let's talk about that list of qualities of fascism that has gone so viral. And let's go down one by one and just kind of take assessment of where we were as well as where we are. Number one, powerful and continuing nationalism. Well, first of all, no president, no politician in this country is allowed to say, we're not the greatest country on earth. So, there's that tendency. It's not terrible, but it's there. Disdain for human rights, yes, it's way worse under Trump, but we have an entire Republican Party dedicated to disenfranchising people based on their race. So that's disdain for human rights. We have a national security establishment embraced by the traditional leadership of both parties, including President Obama, who thought it was absolutely fine to spy on 25 million Americans on their phone records, on their emails, and so on, and not tell us about it, even though we allegedly live in a democracy. So is Trump worse? Yes, he's worse, but we haven't gone from 0 to 100. And I guess my point in all this is when we talk about Trump and fascism, let's not pretend that we didn't have a lot of house cleaning to do before Trump came along. Identifying enemies as a unifying cause, well, the Democrats have been pretty good about not doing that. Even George W. Bush was pretty good about not doing that, relatively speaking, compared to Trump. So yeah, Trump's pretty horrible there. Dick Cheney, who has actually rebuked Trump, wasn't so great on that front. But overall, I would say Trump, yeah, he's worse now. Supremacy of the military, well, it is frightening to see Trump put generals in so many positions. So that one worries me as much as it worries you. Rampant sexism. Oh, please don't even get me started on Trump and rampant sexism. But I don't need to get started because you know how sexist this guy is. So, yes, that's very disturbing. Controlled mass media. Well, let's talk about that for a second. We haven't had government-controlled mass media yet, but we have had an enormous consolidation of media outlets so that mass media are now largely controlled by only 6 corporations. When that happens, we may not have government fascism, and I hate to throw the F word around too loosely, but we certainly have an excessive level of corporate control, corporate censorship, corporate dictation about what we think and don't think. So we haven't been doing well on the media front for a long time. I want us to think about that before we decide that Trump is a radical departure from the past. However, if he tries to seize control of the media, yeah, then we'll know we're in big trouble. Now, let's talk about the next item, obsession with national security. I would argue that while Republicans have always been worse on this issue, our entire politics, Democratic as well as Republican mainstream, is overly obsessed with national security. The defense budget, which is wildly out of whack with our needs and with the rest of the world, has grown more slowly under President Obama, but it has not shrunk. It has continued to grow. That concerns me, and it should concern you as well. President Obama has not challenged the national security state. No president of either party has challenged the national security state. Drones and the assassination of American citizens are now considered an acceptable form of military behavior for the United States, and that happened under Barack Obama. So I think we as a nation have been struggling with an obsession with national security for a long time. Religion and government intertwined. Now, that's the next standard. I give Democrats high marks for this, and I give Republicans low marks for it. And Trump, who I think in his heart of hearts is not a religious person, I don't think he believes in anything other than himself, frankly, has clearly used this. But that's not a new thing. Republicans have been intertwining religion and government for a long time. Corporate power protected is the next item. Well, let me ask you something. Under the 8 years of a Democratic president, did a single executive at a single Wall Street bank go to prison or even face trial after a crime wave of highly documented, massive proportions? The answer, of course, is no. So leaders of both political parties have gotten in the habit of protecting corporate power. Now, Obama didn't suppress labor power. Trust me, the Republicans have been doing that for a long time. Disdain for intellectuals in the arts, Obama was great on that front. The Republicans, far less so. We could go on. There are a couple more. Rampant cronyism and corruption. Well, it's much worse under Trump, but look at the Treasury Department and Citigroup. That's a change in degree. It's not a complete change. Fraudulent elections is the last item, and our election integrity has been slipping for a long time. So when you throw the F word around, remember, it's not just Trump. We have been letting our democracy degrade, and it is time not just to defeat Trump, but to bring back full economic and political democracy.